Now, another one of the best decks in the game is the monster consuming deck. Vran Warriors, Arrakis Behemoth, Arrakis, Grave Hag, Ekimara, these types of things. Easy deck to understand, easy deck to kind of get going. It's just a powerhouse of cards. 5 strength is difficult to remove. You can't remove everything they've got. Consuming is really easy, so neckers get up really high, really fast. Just a powerhouse of strength. It is really difficult to beat. Weather, you have to kind of force it on them loads, or Diameridian Bomb again, Scorch again, Becca's Twisted Mirror again. This is the way you deal with this deck, but you need to take a lot of it. And so we may start seeing also some removal, heavy removal decks coming through, which I think we are starting to see that with Scoia'tael. They can do a lot of Scorches, Radovid controls and stuff like that. But Vran Warrior is the beast. He actually is a massive beast. We saw the meta really change away from the light longships now. They're immune to weather, although on the siege row that's not as important as it used to be. Immunity to weather is immunity to all weather now. So being like immune to weather on the melee row like this card is not a big deal. They can't be Geralt Arded and pushed back and destroyed into fog anymore. So we've really seen light longships not really employed as much. Unless someone's going for like stack it up on the siege row in round 3. So you don't have to worry about taking this kind of card. This card is a good card now, just as good as the light longship really. The Grave Hag, now she's got reduced in the very latest patch to 1 strength, which is very weak. But you will be playing her as like the last card, and hopefully she won't get removed. And if she doesn't, with the monster consumed deck, with a certain type of monster consumed, loads of Arrakis Behemoths and Vran Warriors on the range row to consume all of the Arrakis, you can get a massive chain going. Now there's only a few things, a lot of tokens now, lesser elementals, lesser golems, all these things, the harpy eggs, they're all fleeting, which means they don't go into the graveyard, so she can't eat them. There's only a couple of things which are not fleeting. The general units that you place are not fleeting. But Arrakis, all Arrakis are not fleeting. So Arrakis Behemoth Arrakis are not fleeting. And that is the main way you get a massive chain going. A massive train of consumption with the Vran Warriors. Every time they eat one, 3 Arrakis Behemoths spawn Arrakis. And, you know, that's going to really consume just the graveyard is going to get filled with those. And she can get up to 40, 50, 61 is the highest I've seen. Massive power play. So, you know, be aware with this deck that these guys are really good at the moment. But she is really weak, but try and save something if you can. Or Dimeritium Shackle it, you know. Or Dimeritium Bomb it, or Becca's Twisted Mirror. Yeah, all these things, you know. It's really evident. You can kind of see this going. You can see the way this is all going. Now, during the early access, Old Spear Tip was an auto-include and really looked like he was going to define the meta in monster decks. It's changed now. He only adds 1 strength to all of the units on a row, but he does do 2 strength to all of the units on the opponent's row, but it's not as absolutely devastating. You may still be around, but it's not absolutely devastating as it used to be. It would still work in the old Banard Adept scenario that we saw was so massively amazing, but he's definitely not as auto-include. He's only 8 strength when he turns, but he could still be good. You probably won't see him as much now. Scoia'tael, their general... There's 2 kind of archetypes. Full removal with loads of Scorches and Neophyte deck. Elias has kind of become the Isengrim, vanilla Isengrim now. He's a power play on round 3. You spawn in Neophytes in round 1 and 2, and he gets to about 18, 20, 22. It's not huge like the Grave Hag, but it is reasonable for Scoia'tael with a lot of their removal options as well anyway. Cyprian Wily became a card which was going to be really heavily controlling the meta as well. Now he only removes 1 base strength now. That is not a correct tooltip, and that's not as important. You can like do it and then pick him up and do it again, but again I don't think that's worth it, and so he's probably dropped out of favour a bit. He's got buffed, which I think is a nerf due to the King of Beggars, so maybe you won't see him as much because he only removed 1 base strength. Still could be good, but you're not going to banish things as easily anymore, which is what you were really trying to do with him with the 2 strength. I think you're going to start seeing some Northern Realms removal decks, mainly focusing around Radovid. A lot of removal, which doesn't actually remove your units, but weakens them a lot, and Pavetta here. 6 strength, destroy the weakest non-gold units twice in a row. So she does a double epidemic, basically. And she's a lot more accessible now, because she's 6 strength, so she can protect herself. She doesn't epidemic herself so easily. So I think you will start seeing a lot of Radovid control. And let me just talk to you why I think Radovid is so important now, why he's going to be a choice which is coming in quite a bit. So I think Radovid he's like still an iffy card. I mean, Foltest is still very good, but I think Radovid might be coming in with certain archetypes to really counter specific other archetypes which are very prevalent. Now, I spoke about the Skellige wounding archetype being massively absurdly good, and Radovid can counter that. Now, the reason is Pavetta will destroy the Axeman early on. I don't think that's a good enough reason, but Radovid destroys one of their key components, which is one of the most powerful cards in the game, which is the card I've spoken to you about before, which is Yennefer the Conjurer. Being 7 strength, Radovid can eliminate her, and she is such a powerful card that that's an amazing achievement. And it works just so good for the Skellige wounding archetype. So there are other cards as well that Radovid can deal with, like Isengrim here. 7 strength, he spawns neophytes all the time, so he can kind of counter the neophyte archetype as well. And Pavetta is amazingly good against Scoia'tael as well anyway. So he can also beat Villain Trettenmirth in, in certain factions, not Northern Realms, not with just Radovid alone. You got Ithleen, which is a lock on all non-gold units. That could be very valuable to destroy this before it goes off because of the 1-turn timer. Getting rid of Triss Butterfly spell is an easy option, and she's a very powerful card. She will always be 6 strength due to Northern Realms deck ability. So getting rid of some of these key cards I think means Radovid is going to be very important. He's become relevant again because there's a lot of 7 strength, 6 strength gold units which are really, really powerful that other factions struggle to deal with. They need to have multiple cards to use, and Radovid is just going to really control those decks, which is what it's all about, which is good. Blue Boy Lugos seen an amazing change. He works with the Skellige archetype like I mentioned. The whale doesn't die anymore. It just doesn't wound itself, so it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it's just really powerful. Now, it can be decoyed against you, but if you're playing the Skellige wounding archetype, it's also kind of a self-wounding archetype. So you play the whale, if they decoyed against you, it doesn't really matter. Your Axemen are still going up. You know, it's just really good card now. It's just amazingly good. Amazingly good card. As for spies, a lot of the spies saw like a heavy nerf with the increase in strength and their weather immunity and such. And I do think that CD Projekt Red has done the job that they wanted to do. They're not auto-includes anymore. Card advantage, I think, is in general a lot nicer. You know, if you're down on card advantage, most of the time it's your own fault now, which is really good. I feel like it's much cleaner, and playing this card is a bad issue. There are ways around it, of course. Playing around after you've won the first one. You could, Becker's it or Letho it or whatever. There are ways around it, but it's a little bit more in-depth, a bit more thought-provoking rather than just an auto-play, which is great. And I think you'll have to make those decisions as you get the choice to build your deck, which is all for the better in my opinion. So the Bloody Baron has changed somewhat. His Lubberkin has changed more specifically, but it kind of changed from a round 3 thing into basically a round 1 thing. Basically, the idea is you play the Lubberkin immediately, and he starts buffering all your units as you keep putting units down. Now, he is 3 strength, very vulnerable. We don't really see mushrooms coming through, and I don't think we will either. You can remove the Lubberkin, and due to the change of field medics, you can't just medic out silvers anymore, so you've got to use a hefty unit to get it back out. But the strategy is that you use him, and hopefully he stays alive, and he starts buffing all your poor infantry and everything like that. And then in round 3, you use Shani and pull out the Lubberkin as golden value, and he again starts buffing all your units, and he's gold now, 5 strength. So he's just really effective for buffing. Now again, Radovid can deal with that. As 5 strength gold, you know, I think most factions can deal with it. Skellige can't, and I don't think monsters can. But not without 2 cards at least. But still, it's a very popular strategy, and I think it works. It's a very fun deck as well. And I've seen a Henselt version, and I've seen a Foltest, Poor Infantry Quen version, which I play, and it's very fun and it works. So just expect, you know, Bloody Barrow really to be played in round 1 now, and his offspring to be continued through the rounds. So we're seeing Geralt kind of move away from the meta now. Now there's not too much weather immunity going around. There's some. You don't see Blizzard potions being played to give weather immunity to certain instances. But you've just like lost half your things. You can't use it on Ancient Foglets. You can't use it on like Wardent Riders or Eredin. So he's just kind of lost some functionality, so there's much better golds to choose now. So that's generally where I think the idea is going, the game's going. Very much a buff kind of meta going on. A lot of removal in terms of Scorches, Dimeritium Bomb. Some weak removal, not too much of it. I'm starting to lean towards Manticore Venom, like screw up big plays around the board. But people seem to think Alzor's Thunder is going to come in, get rid of some of these crafty 7 strength minions. But thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and let me know if you agree with anything I said. Well, not anything, everything. Do you agree with everything I said? Or possibly, you know, maybe you think different things are going to happen. At the minute, I definitely think Skellige is probably the best, and then Monster Consume is the second best. And then, you know, beginner Nilfgaard is not very competitive. I think beginner Skellige is still probably the better one. Scoia'tael, Northern Realms are kind of in iffy places at the minute. Give it a bit of time to evaluate those particular decks. Nilfgaard is roughly medium as well. I'd like to see some better decks happen with those. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Take care. I'll see you again very soon.